Hello, hello, hello.
And welcome to the Hildebrand Law Firm topic for today.
I'm Kirsten Hildebrand.
And I'm Matt Kaplan.
And today we're going to talk about something that I dealt with actually just yesterday. And that is we had a beautiful mom who was in her 80s who came in with her daughter. And when we got done with mom's estate planning, I turned to the daughter, who's probably in her 50s, maybe early 60s, and said, okay, so now what about your estate planning? And she looked at me and said, oh, I'm not old enough yet to get my estate planning done, which brings up a really interesting topic. And that is there an age when you should start thinking about estate planning, or is that a myth?
I think it's a myth, Kirsten, because the sad reality is that we all have an expiration date. We just don't know when it is. And so we know that day is coming. People ask us, when should we get it done? We always jokingly say, before you die, but we don't know when that date's going to be.
You know, it reminds me, I bought a dozen eggs from the grocery store, and I had them in the refrigerator for a little bit, and then I started looking, okay, what's the expiration date? Because the last thing you want to do is eat bad eggs, right? We've heard those stories. So I'm looking all over this carton, up, down, side, backwards, forwards, and I cannot find the expiration date. And I even peeled off the little tag on the top to see if there's something there. I'm telling you, there was no expiration date. So then this made me really worried. So I actually heard that if you put eggs in water, if they float, they're bad, and if they sink, then they're good. And these eggs all sunk. So they were all good. I got to use them in a really good recipe. I made a quiche. It was delicious. But the point is that I think we do have an expiration date, but we don't know what it is. And as much as we might try to look and think and analyze, and even, I did smoke when I was in my 30s, or I've never smoked, I've never drank, so therefore I'm going to live until I'm 95, or there's longevity in my family, so I'm good, or everybody dies at 60, so I better get going. These are all the things that we try to say to ourselves in order to try to figure out what the expiration date is.
Right. And what's interesting, especially about your story with the eggs, you use them right away.
Yes.
You saw that the eggs were good and you used them right away. You didn't put them back in the fridge and say, no, I've got plenty of time.
I think I'll just wait another couple weeks and see if they're still good then.
I'll wait. I'll make my quiche then. I'll wait. No. The idea was in your head. You said, I'm going to, I know these eggs are good today. I know this is what I want to do. I'm going to do it. And that's what people need to do with estate planning too. Especially with your client's suggestion. Mm-hmm. You're in your 50s, your mom's in her 80s, why not get yours done too? The wonderful thing about estate planning documents is that they may improve over time. Do they expire?
No, they do not expire if they're done properly.
Right.
If they're done in accordance with the latest round of laws, which we've had some legal changes in Wisconsin recently. And so you do want to make sure that your estate planning documents are really well done. If they're well done, then they will withstand the test of time. But if they're not done properly, or if they're done inconsistently, then there could be issues. And so you want to make sure that your estate plans are always done well. But so if it is a myth that we should wait till a certain age in order to get our estate planning done, then what should be the basis for when you're doing estate planning?
That's a good question. One thing that I always suggest to clients usually is that once you have something in your life worth protecting, and so for a lot of people that could be any asset, it could be the purchase of a home is usually a really good catalyst to start thinking about your estate planning. Maybe my 401k balance is starting to go up. Maybe I have a good investment account, or I just had little kids.
Yes.
Maybe that's a good time to start thinking about it. In our ideal world, when everyone turns 18, they would get their estate planning done.
Right.
It's just it's hard to convince people of that.
If you have an apartment and a dog and $5,000 in the bank, that is probably still a really great time to have a power of attorney for healthcare, power of attorney for finances, and a will in place, because if you die, the state of Wisconsin has a rule book and they're going to apply it, and you may or may not want that to happen. For example, you may love your parents, but they've got plenty of money. If you were to pass away, you may want the life insurance policy and everything else to go to a sibling or to somebody that is a loved one that you would not otherwise be going to them. You know, I actually, the youngest age that I have done an estate plan for, and by that I mean the power of attorney for healthcare, power of attorney for finances, the HIPAA, the will, and 2 trusts, both a revocable and irrevocable
Can
trust.
I guess?
Yes.
13.
No, you can't do that. Can't do that. Why couldn't a 13-year-old do that estate plan?
Because they haven't been bar mitzvahed yet.
Right, no.
No, because you can't sign anything until you're 18.
Oh my word. Yes, but it was actually a 19-year-old, and he became just an incredible entrepreneur over his high school years, and he was worth over $1 million by the time he was 19 years old. So it really is, once you have something that you want to protect, that's when you really need to think about estate planning. And that should be, and what's interesting to me is that people come into Hildebrand Law Firm and they're really stressed out because they have been thinking about doing this for so long and they just haven't done it. And I always think to myself, well, you could have really alleviated a lot of concern if you had just come in when you thought, gee, I'm 35 years old, I'm 40 years old, I'm 45 years old. It's really time to get this stuff done because we do have things that we want to make sure that we're protecting, or we do have children. So those are our encouragement to think about your estate planning as part of your financial planning. It's not something where you're thinking about it in terms of, well, I'm not going to die for another 40 years, so I don't need to worry about it. Well, you may or may not get to that point,
Right.
But more importantly, it's really part of good financial planning. And so to that extent, it is a total myth that you should wait till a certain age in order to get your estate planning done.
Right. I think that's a great point, Kirsten, because, yeah, the things that you acquire that you want to protect could happen at any age.
Yes.
It could happen at 18. I have clients who have children who are having children under the age of 18. Yeah, it's a good idea for that 18-year-old with the new baby. It's a good idea for them to at least have a will in place.
Yes.
Who's going to take care of this baby should something happen to me? Maybe even have a trust in place because I want to make sure that this kid doesn't get all my stuff the day they turn 18.
Right.
That seems like a concern. And so once you have things willing to that you want to and that you're willing to protect, then it's a good idea to have a conversation about estate planning.
Thanks so much for joining us for this, and we will continue with our myths and the next one.